For centuries, the United States and the United Kingdom have anchored their cultural identities in Christianity. From the Pilgrims' quest for religious freedom to the Church of England's established role in British public life. But after decades of accelerating secularisation and the mainstreaming of LGBTQ+ rights, a fundamental question now shadows both nations. Are America and Britain still, in any meaningful sense, Christian countries? The data suggests a picture far more complex than a simple yes or no. While a Christian majority technically persists in both nations, its influence over public morality, political power, and even its own membership has profoundly eroded. At the same time, the rapid advancement of LGBTQ+ acceptance and legal protections marks a definitive shift away from traditional Christian doctrinal stances that once condemned homosexuality. The result is not the death of Christianity, but its transformation into one voice among many in increasingly pluralistic secular-leaning societies. Now, let's begin with the United States. On paper, America remains a Christian nation. The Pew Research Center's 2023 to 2024 Religious Landscape Study found that 62% of U.S. adults describe themselves as Christian, 40% Protestant, 19% Catholic, and 3% other Christian traditions. The Public Religion Research Institute, PRRI, pegs the figure slightly higher at 65%. However, both track a historic decline. Pew's Christian share has fallen from 78% in 2007, a 16-point drop in under 2 decades. The group filling the void is the religiously unaffiliated, the nones. PRRI reports that 28.1% of Americans now identify as religiously unaffiliated, a new peak, while Pew puts the figure at 29%. This demographic is disproportionately young. 44% of Americans born in the 1990s and 43% of those born after 2000 claim no religious affiliation. Among Generation Z, born 1997 to 2006, 34% identify as non-religious. If current trends hold, religious nones are projected to outnumber Protestants among young Americans within a generation. Yet the decline has plateaued in recent years, and some religious metrics show surprising resilience. Weekly church attendance among Gen Z men has ticked upward, and 46% of Gen Z Americans still identify as Christian. America also remains an outlier among Western nations in religious intensity. 49% of US adults say religion is a very important part of their daily lives, far exceeding rates in the UK and Western Europe. The UK has travelled much further down the secular path. The 2021 census for England and Wales recorded that for the first time, fewer than half of residents identified as Christian. Just 46.2% home, down sharply from 59.3% a decade earlier. Meanwhile, those claiming no religion surged to 37.2%, 22.2 million people, up from 25.2% in 2011. In Scotland, a majority, 51%, now acknowledge no religious affiliation. The British Social Attitudes Survey paints an even starker picture, finding that by 2024, 53% of UK adults were non-religious. Among young people aged 16 to 34, the figure climbs to 61%. Church attendance has collapsed. Fewer people now attend their parish church than attend a local mosque or Catholic mass. The Church of England reported just 685,000 weekly worshippers in 2023, down from 1.14 million in 2014. Researchers have declared that the UK is entering its first atheist age, with atheists now outnumbering believers in God. For the first time, non-religious civil servants in Whitehall outnumber their Christian colleagues. The UK has decisively crossed a threshold. While vestiges of an established church remain, British society now functions as a predominantly secular, post-Christian entity. Let's talk about the LGBTQ plus revolution. Parallel to religious decline, LGBTQ plus identification and acceptance have risen dramatically. In the United States, Gallup's 2024 survey found that 9.3% of US adults now identify as LGBTQ+, up from 7.6% in 2023. Among Generation Z, the figure reaches an extraordinary 24%. The rise is driven primarily by young adults increasingly identifying as bisexual. Public acceptance of homosexuality has grown substantially across both nations, though sharp divides persist along religious lines. Pew research found that 87% of religiously unaffiliated Americans now say homosexuality should be accepted by society. Among white evangelical Protestants, however, acceptance lags far behind, and 27% of Protestants overall express disapproval of gay and lesbian people living their lives as they wish. Within Christian circles, a striking gender gap has emerged. 3/4 of young Christian women say homosexuality should be accepted, compared with less than half, 49%, of young Christian men, a 26-point divide. Notably, over a third of LGBTQ Americans, 36%, still identify with a Christian faith, and 10% belong to non-Christian religions. The LGBTQ community is not uniformly secular. Many continue to navigate the tension between their sexual or gender identity and their religious upbringing. In the UK, public attitudes have shifted similarly, though recent data reveals persistent challenges. Though some cases of intolerance was recorded in recent years, this community is flourishing and widely accepted. In the UK, same-sex marriage has been legal since 2014, and the Equality Act 2010 provides comprehensive protections against discrimination. The current Labour government has made LGBTQ+ equality a priority, committing to a full, trans-inclusive ban on conversion practices, strengthening hate crime sentencing laws, and reforming the Gender Recognition Act. However, the irony of this is that the Church of England continues to resist change. While it allows blessings for same-sex couples within regular services, it still prohibits clergy from entering same-sex marriages and has not endorsed same-sex weddings in church. Perhaps the most significant finding across both nations is the deep generational divide. Young Americans and Britons are dramatically less religious than their elders and dramatically more supportive of LGBTQ+ rights. In the US, religious nuns are concentrated among the young, while support for same-sex marriage and transgender acceptance is highest among Gen Z and millennials. In the UK, 61% of 16 to 34-year-olds claim no religion, and young people are far more likely to vote on religious grounds than their elders, suggesting that when faith does persist among the young, it is often intensely held. This generational chasm suggests that the trajectory is set. As older, more religious, more conservative cohorts age out of the population, both nations will become more secular and more LGBTQ+ affirming with each passing decade. The only uncertainty is how rapidly and how peacefully that transition will unfold. The answer to the question is nuanced but decisive. Neither the United States nor the United Kingdom can meaningfully be described as Christian countries in the sense they once were. The UK has effectively crossed into post-Christian status, with non-religious Britons now outnumbering Christians and church attendance in terminal decline. The US remains more religiously vibrant and retains a Christian majority, but that majority is aging, shrinking, and increasingly at odds with the country's evolving moral consensus on sexuality and gender. Both nations have embraced LGBTQ+ rights as a core component of their civil rights frameworks, often in direct tension with traditional Christian teaching. Christianity no longer sets the terms of public morality. It is now one participant among many in a pluralistic, contested conversation. For believers and non-believers alike, the old certainties have dissolved. Why are we talking about this? With the rise of Christianity was also the rise of the United Kingdom and Western Europe to the status of world domination. And along with it was the United States of America. Unfortunately, this trend of these countries supporting the LGBT, which at its core is fundamentally opposed to their original Christian foundation, has simultaneously led to their current economic and military vulnerability. We at the Syncretic universe have studied this trend with the people of old Israel, who were conquerors when the Spirit of God was with them, and became vulnerable to the point of enslavement when they stemmed far from the rules of God. Please let me know what you think about this topic down in the comment sections,